Welcome to Teachers Have Issues. Yes, I am your host, Lana the Educator. If you're a first-time listener on this channel, welcome. Here we explore the latest educational trends and tackle pressing issues facing the education sector. We also conduct insightful interviews with people making a difference and share stories of triumph and innovation from classrooms across the globe. If you're interested in all of this, then like and subscribe. Today on Teachers Have Issues, yes, I welcome my guest, Janique Dennis-Prescott. Janique is a mother and wife, a practitioner of sacred ancient African arts, and an arts enthusiast. Professionally, she is student-centered, experienced, tertiary level educator, skilled in related software, academic literacies, editing, literacy criticism, Spanish, and proofreading. So wow, wow, wow. She has a Master's of Arts focused on English literacy research from the University of Leicester as a lifelong student. Janique is currently completing a PhD in literatures in English at the University of the West Indies. So maybe when we check back with her, we'll be saying, hey, Dr. Prescott, right? So welcome to Teachers Have Issues. Yes, Janique.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad and excited to be here.
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite topics.
Good. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have you. And what really interests me was this job description in terms of what you do, academic literacies. Instructor, not tutor. What's the difference between that? And tell us about what that job actually entails.
A tutor is usually hired either by course or by semester to support a lecturer in a given course, maybe a program. An instructor would usually be hired for a longer period of time, usually at least about a year. Some would have gotten like 9 months contracts, and they would be, because they're full-time, more involved in program and course development and planning for the unit, etc. Academic literacies is the field that's focused on developing literacies skills. So it's not just reading, it's reading, writing, listening, and speaking at the university level.
Okay.
So for academics, so it doesn't really matter what university you go to. At some point, you're going to have to learn how to write for a university, how to present for a university, and how to read critically and smart, how to be a smart reader and save a lot of time and find exactly what you need. So that's our field. That's what we do.
Wow. So is it training that's done for that? Do you have to go and specialize or get a degree in that particular area to be able to do what you do?
I've never seen a degree in this area. Most people come in with qualifications in literature, linguistics, education. And then, and then we train on the job. We have some training when you enter, of course, as a sort of orientation. And then you would start by tutoring a course or by doing guided marking. So you learn what it is we're looking for, because we show you how we mark the scripts. You have the idea of the end products, and then you would come in and tutor. And then when an opportunity opens, come on full board.
And remind listeners, what level of education is this taking place in?
This is university.
Right. And you will see Janique here like on the screen, because she's very young. You might think, oh, an older person is just instructing people. What's that like being such a young instructor yourself and having to instruct, younger person? Do you face any challenges there?
I don't think I'm young. I don't feel it. I look young.
You might
look, I'm guessing that's what you're saying.
Right.
So I'm going to say thanks. But I've been at UE for 11 years now.
Wow. Okay.
At this post doing this job. Wow. I was at Open Campus doing comparably basically the same thing for a couple of years before that. So I've been teaching. Before that, I was in secondary school, I
Oh,
was in
okay.
primary school.
Mm,
So
mm.
I don't think I'm as young as I look and as you might think. I've been teaching for about, wow.
A long time
Just
if you have to
give me a
think back.
second. Maths is not my strong point. Just now, 10, about 20, about 20 some
I made you think
years.
there, right? You didn't
Yeah.
realize how long.
Let me go back and go. When did I start? I think because my first official teaching job, actually, ironically enough, was swimming. I used to teach swimming when I was
Oh,
a teenager.
right,
And then I
right.
went from that into teaching secondary school,
Mm-hmm.
and then to primary, and then to tertiary. And I worked at a number of tertiary institutions in Trinidad and Tobago
Okay.
until I found my settle at UWI.
Right. But I'm still interested in, if I say like Janique comes in front of me in the classroom, because you're in university, so it's not necessarily only going to be 18-year-olds or
Oh
21-year-olds
no,
that you're probably tutoring, right?
correct.
So what is the response when you have to interact with the students there at university? What's their response to you as a tutor, as the instructor?
I think it's pretty normal.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Once upon a time,
Right.
before we were so internet savvy, all of us
Mm-hmm.
were so internet savvy, I would attend my first session dressed down
Mm.
in jeans and whatnot.
Mm.
And I would come in before everyone and rest the things at the desk. And
Mm.
then I would sit among the class and we wait for everybody to come in. And then
Yeah.
we would all sit down and bad talk the teachers and why they're not here on time and my money is spending and they're getting paid regardless and they
Right.
don't respect people's time. And we would all do that together
Mm.
until I figured I had a nice gauge on who's in the room. And then I'd get up and go, hi, everyone. How are you all? My name is Janique and I'd be your instructor this evening and for the rest of the semester. And they'll go, what? What? And I, yes, I know it's
All
all right.
hearts drop to the floor.
But now I know who you are
Yeah.
and we can proceed without any masks. So let's just
Mm.
get going.
Right.
Um, but now our students are so wonderfully savvy. They Google us first
Mm.
because our course outlines have our names, our
Right,
course
right,
shells have our emails,
right.
sometimes even images. So they will Google us
Mm.
and find out who we are and what we're into and what we're researching. And so it's not like quite possible. And because at university, some of them are there for 3 years or more, they
Mhm.
have friends who goes, yeah, that's the lecturer
Oh, okay,
for,
okay, right, right,
for
right.
for this course or
Mm.
for that course. But most of the time it's pretty, sometimes I have a few more mature students who
Mhm.
might express privately
Mhm.
such a surprise that I seem younger than they
Mhm.
expected.
Yeah.
And then once I tell them, I've been here like that office and we've been here for like 10 years plus. They go,
Mhm.
oh, you just look really young. Yes, I'm a vampire. I look much younger than I am.
So do you work with undergrad only or postgrad, or is it just across the board in this position?
Right now, we
Mhm.
work with only undergrad. Once upon a time, we did have a postgrad academic literacies course, and are discussions currently to bring it back on board.
Mm.
When postgrads are looking for writing help, they more usually attend the writing center, which I
Mhm.
would have coordinated for a number of years, about
Mhm.
7 years or so. And that's really the only place we would interact with them right now.
Mhm.
So the majority of our students are undergrads and our courses are compulsory in order to graduate.
Right, because I was about to ask you, how do students find you? Is it that it is inherent or part of the university where you have that student support already part of the courses that they're doing?
It is compulsory. You
Okay.
cannot graduate, and I believe this is true for just about every university,
Mhm.
without some sort of training in academic literacies.
Nice. Why is
So,
that? Why do we need that?
well, you're going out there to represent your university.
Right.
We at St. Augustine, we know us pelicans carry quite a pride with us wherever we are. So
Mm-hmm.
we would like to be represented well.
Mm-hmm.
And that means being able to understand, critically evaluate what you're reading, being able
Mm-hmm.
to respond intelligently and in a universally acceptable standard of English,
Right. Right.
because the point is to be able to conduct business across the globe. So you
Excellent.
have to be able to manage your speech in a way that is accessible to anyone else who has access to English. We need to stop thinking about just trying to reach people who are either first or second language English speakers. In the global age we are in now, there are many, many millions of people for whom English is a third language, a sixth language, a ninth language. And when we are conducting our business in whatever field, we have to be able to communicate with them. So we need a level of language that can reach anyone with access to English that's clear and concise.
Yeah. So do you have in your experience gotten English as a second language learners in your classroom?
Every single semester.
Wow, what's that like? Because I saw that you do. It might not be Spanish, but I saw that you're also proficient in Spanish. Have you had to use that skill when you are conducting your classes?
Yes, I get to use some of my Spanish in classes. Honestly, we get quite a number of continental students, that is to say, from the continent of Africa. We have a number of students studying theology in particular, and they speak many languages, some as many as 12 languages. And English is somewhere in there. You know, it's number something.
And they might not have learned it formally, right? They might have learned it from
Yes,
just conversational or
correct.
from television, right?
Yeah. So it always amazes me when I have, I think I had a Colombian student some time ago, when I have foreign language speakers in my room and they're managing their education in English. They are communicating well. They are finding solutions to when there are ideas that they have difficulty expressing, because it is changing the way you think when you change a language. And my little bit of Spanish and my 2 words in Yoruba and my ability to understand some French, sometimes I'll say it in this language.
Right.
And they'll say it, and I'll say, okay, this is the word you're looking for.
Okay.
So explain the idea, and then I'll give them it, which is the same thing I do for Trinbagonians or Caribbean students, because oftentimes we're thinking in a Creole, and we have an idea in a Creole, and we're like, how do I say this formally?
Yes.
How do I say this in an academic way? And I say, just tell me the idea, and I say, okay, this is what you're looking for. So it is a bit of translation that occurs for all students, really.
And I'm hearing you give the example of the students doing theology because you're doing academic writing. And then I thought in my head, but wait, it is probably academic writing for students doing different degrees. So you might have someone, I don't know, maybe doing a law and somebody doing theology, and then somebody, is that how it works for you? That
Correct,
you have
is right.
students
Academic
across?
literacies are required for students in the faculties of humanities and education, social sciences, science and technology, engineering, law. Am I forgetting anyone? So yes, we basically teach just about everyone on the St. Augustine campus. Yes, we have huge classes and huge courses. We have courses with 400-500 students in a course.
So how did you get into this field? Was it straight? No, you told me you taught before. What made you want to stay in this field? I should probably ask.
The name of your podcast is Teachers Have Issues. Yes. I wanted to be a secondary school teacher. So I read for what we call ELLE, English Language and Literature with Education, which is designed to send you straight into teaching, Teacher 3. I went into teaching. I think it's probably best not to say what school I was placed at right now. And I had the culture shock of my life. And I realized I don't have what it takes to give these students what they need, which is a thing I hope we get some time to get into. And I resigned. I resigned from teaching. And of course, everyone says, are you crazy? You know how long people wait to get into teaching? And you have retirement, and you have the leave, and you have, and I go, and I have depression. And I have a deep burning sorrow that I, with counseling, had difficulty trying to treat. There was a day I got up and I realized I did not want to get out of bed to go to work. And it's not, oh my God, they're terrible. It's, oh my God, they need something that I don't have. And I shouldn't be there. I shouldn't be there. They need someone who has what they need. And I left. I then went into primary school, private. I had a lot of fun there, but there was a clash in philosophy, which is another thing I would love to talk about, philosophy of education. And while I was there, I started quote unquote moonlighting with universities and colleges, tertiary level institutions around Trinidad. And I realized, oh, this is where I fit. This is where I belong. I have what the adults need.
Okay.
I have the kind of guidance, the personality, the attitude, the drive. We connect a lot easier. And so I stayed with adults. And up to this day, I love working with adults. I love working with adults. Because, you can literally put them aside and say, okay, yo, what's going on?
Right.
And adult, they'll tell you, their bills, there's children, me and the boyfriend or the girlfriend, the husband or the wife, my mom is ill, and they give you the real, and you say, okay, all right, this is what we have available. This is what we can do. Look to this, go to this place, see to that, and you give them real life solutions. And they will enact it because they're feeling the problems in an immediate way. So when you give them opportunities to actually resolve them, they tend to move. They tend to move at a pace, and then they can focus a bit more on what you're trying to teach them. So I tried a few places until I settled into UE, which was where I had my bachelor's as well, and where I'm doing my PhD now.
Right.
And it's a good fit.
Good. I like it. I know you touched on your depression. Of course, I'm not qualified to do anything with that, but
yes.
I like that what you expressed was you were self-aware. You were aware enough to say, okay, I should not be here and doing this, and I need to do something else. And I commend that, because not everybody would say, I'm not I can't do this with these children and let me go somewhere else and find a different job, So was it teaching at that level that contributed in part to the depression of
Oh no, that was my whole depression.
Oh my gosh.
That was my whole depression. My principal sent me to counseling. Yeah, okay. We are doing this.
So what about it was so yes.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
My program had 0 child psychology courses in it. I'm not sure how many teachers are taught anything in child psychology. You've interviewed quite a few people in the field, so you can let me know if other teachers have some exposure, any exposure to child psychology. Our children need help. I believe everyone needs a psychologist. Anybody who has met me knows that I am one who goes, psychologist, please. Everybody needs a psychologist, a counselor, someone to help with mental and emotional issues, because that's life. That's life, just life. And when I went into that secondary school, I met so much pain and sadness and loss and hurt. And students would come to me. I would like to think there's something about my personality that would make them think I'm a safe space to go to. And I had students, oh my gosh. Okay. There's this one boy, dark, sweet, dark boy, very neat, very pressed, very clean. You look at him and you go, ideal son, ideal child, ideal student. His homework is always done. He's present and focused in class. He had I'm going to say a best friend who was a female, who was of like ilk, very well put together, very focused, very studious. And I'm sitting down out on the bench on lunchtime, because that's when I know they're going to come to talk to me. And they sit on either side, and she says to him, show her. And I go, show me what? And he shows me his arms. And he's been cutting his arms all the way up. This beautiful black boy, so bright, so well-mannered. And I'm like, what is going on? Why? And he's like, his mom passed, and he has someone who takes care of him, and she loves him and she treats him wonderfully, and he has no idea why he's doing this. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. All I know is there's a counselor who visits from time to time. You need to see that person. And I remember you had a podcast recently where they were talking about they have to have a counselor full time at every school. And that is one of the scenarios that really, up to this day, I can feel my gut wrench when I think about it. I've seen that boy since he graduated. He went into the field. He was doing well. I was so proud and happy to see him. And he was so happy to see me. And he said, "Miss, you don't know how you're helping." And I'm thinking, I didn't help. All I did was point you in the right direction. Somebody else had to help. I was a crucial point in time. But I have students who would have had parents killed violently, who would have themselves been involved in violence and in gangs. I had students who were parents, and they're telling you that this education thing might be cool, but milk and pampers had to buy tomorrow. So I have to go out and find it. I had students who were children of prostitutes. And they're like, well, if that's what I am come from, that's what I'm going to be. And no, you can do so much. Your mother is literally sacrificing everything for you to be here, for you to do something different. And then you look around, and there are some teachers who, because there are knives in the school, there might have been a gun in the school, who just, I have the right not to go to the classroom because that's a dangerous environment, and they just don't go. They just don't go. I had my car scratched. Somebody keyed my car while I was working there because I'm going, no, whatever that is, that's not happening on my watch. So cut that, either in class or find yourself to the deans, but this is not happening. You know, it was a really, really traumatic experience.
Yes, I'm listening to you. Trauma is the word that's coming to mind on both ends. For the staff and the students.
Teachers have real issues. And teachers need to, I think, if I remember right, we had 9 appointments a year or something like that, counseling when I was there. That would have been a while ago. But
you mean for the EAP?
Yes,
the program
it was tied into the contract.
I think it's something along that line, yes.
Teachers need a lot more.
But then you see, I'm listening to you. I think you might be a unique case in that you actually admitted to yourself that you needed help. A lot of teachers don't want to do that. And I think just within the Caribbean and mental health, there's still that stigma there where you say you need help and you're going to see a psychologist there. So that in itself is something that we need to kind of look into. But you were able to, very self-aware, say, okay, I need to take care of myself and do this. So what prompted you to leave just
my EAP ran out. I'm not even kidding you. I had 9 sessions. My 9 sessions were up, and I still could not get up and go to work with any kind of energy. And I'm one of those, I'm going to say top performers. I have to perform at a very high standard just to feel proud about myself. And I'm sure that's tied to something else as well. But I am a high achiever, a high performer, a high energy performer. When I work, I'm high energy. And to get up and not have that energy, and to walk into a room and not have that to give the people I come there to was painful as well. And my principal, give thanks for him, sent me to, I'm sure if he hears this, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm thankful for him for sending me to EAP. But then I went one day and she said, well, this is the last session because we only have 9 sessions. And I went, I was barely making it with your help. Without your help, I'm going to crack. Something is not gonna take. I'm gonna need more help than this. So I think that when I think of unions, And as someone who has studied industrial relations, my first area of study was industrial relations at Cipriani Labor College. Yeah, that I'm telling you, I'm not young. That's how old I am. Before the teaching degree, before that was labor relations.
Right.
I think that unions tend to be so focused on the dollar.
Oh.
And not as focused as I think they should be on standard of living and quality of life. Because if I were in a teachers union, I would be advocating for a health day, a health half a day. And it's not a day where you just whatever. It's a day where here's your counselor, here's you have a mandatory session.
Mental health day, yes.
Whether it's a half a day a month, a day a term, something. So it's not a matter of, as you were saying, whether they think they need help, whether they're worried about perception and they have their own biases or whatnot. This is in your contract. You need to see someone because we realize the issues, the stress that you have. Teachers need support. Students need support. Teachers need support. Okay. I haven't let you ask a question for about 5 minutes.
That's fine. I mean, I'm learning a lot. We came in to talk about academic literacies, but I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot from your perspective and your experiences in school. So let's go back to your approach in terms of working with students at this particular level. What are some of the challenges you might encounter with students who might be struggling with academic writing? What are some common challenges that they have?
Okay, the approach, what you're asking for is my teaching philosophy, and the crux of my teaching philosophy is make it real. So everything I teach, I connect it to an actual real life applicability, a scenario in which it can be applied, and I show them how they can use it in their personal lives, in their professional lives, of course, in writing for their courses and passing their exams, how it's useful to them. When there are students with challenges, specifically in writing, as you've identified, at St. Augustine, we have a number of facilities available. And when I say a number, I mean a number of facilities available to assist students. So the first one that probably comes to mind is the Writing Center, where they can go and meet with a coach one-on-one and have that individual attention on their writing and developing their writing skills. Then once a student is registered in the Academic Literacies program, they have access to grammar workshops and writing workshops free of charge, where they focus on specific areas of grammar mechanics and like essay structure and word choice and that sort of thing for writing. And they can attend those whenever they want. Some of them are virtual as well. Same thing with the Writing Center. Then we have office hours, which you don't have to make an appointment for. And you can literally bring anything and be like, Miss, I was working on this. What do you think? And that time is your time. So you can get feedback on your work there and particular help with individual issues there as well. We also have something called practice writing, where a student can practice something for an exam, for example, anything, drop it off at our secretariat. One of the people who are examining those exams would see it and then meet with the student and say, okay, this is what you need to work on. This is what you have to strengthen. What else? We also have consultations. So if a student is unsuccessful in one of our courses, we teach we deliver 7 courses. They can ask the examination section for a consultation, and one of the examiners of that exam will sit with the student with their exam paper and look at it and go, this is what you did. So this is what you need to do next time, so that they have help in getting better. And those are just the facilities we have inside ALP. ALP being the Academic Literacies program under the Humanities and Education faculty at the St. Augustine campus.
A lot of support.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I had to do academic writing. I think academic writing for different disciplines or something. And then you had Caribbean Civ, and I think there was a third.
You are telling your age.
Because it sounds different now. I don't think all of this, I don't remember all of that being available, but this is wonderful to know.
We have been consistently working on developing what we do and how we reach our students and how we help them to succeed, not just in our course, but in all of their courses across the St. Augustine, across their program and in life, because communication skills are necessary for success, full stop.
Are they made aware of these support systems? I don't know what.
Of course.
Or when do they get that, at orientation? Or
at orientation, they're told. At the first few weeks in every single course they're told. There are flyers up and about. The My Learning is littered with the information. So yes, and then now there are tutorials, which are much smaller groups, of course. We don't cross groups of 15 now. So when you were there, you might have been in a tutorial of about 20.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yes, and now we've managed to advocate for 15 people, so that's a much more intimate group, and you get a lot more attention. And they're told there as well. And as I was saying, these are the facilities that we provide. Outside of this, UWI itself has been doing a lot. I feel like I'm marketing UWI, right?
That's fine.
But UWI has UWI has been doing a lot to help their students successfully complete the process. So, for example, of course, we have our library. Our Alma Jordan with its huge resources, but UWI Link itself, the digital database, has expanded. It's awesome. And we have liaison librarians that every student in a faculty would have access to someone who can help them get access to a resource that they mightn't have had access to before, and who helps them with their research. And they have workshops on documentation. They have thesis writing boot camps now. So when you're writing a thesis, you can go to get, yes, I can see your face.
Well, I mean, you guys are seeing my face, but my where would these people?
To help students write their theses and get their documentation together. We also have CAPS, counseling and psychological services.
Yes, I know.
Free of charge to staff and students. We also have SLDD, Student Life Development Department. So they help in any other way. That a student has challenges, they can go to SLDD and SLDD will help. So sometimes we might have a student, when we're looking at their writing, because that's our field, you realize a student may have dysgraphia. Dysgraphia is like the writing itself is problematic. They may have dyslexia. They're missing words, they're jumping letters.
They've made it far to make it to university with those little challenges. That's
Lana, I am dyslexic. You take your challenges and you make it into something. Because of that, I have to read every single letter. So it makes me an awesome proofreader of other people's work. Don't proofread your own work. Do not proofread your own work. And we would suggest they go to SLDD, and SLDD would have them assessed, and they would figure out what they need to succeed in their exams. And the thing is, no one else has to know your business. So if you go to SLDD and let's say you have dysgraphia, then the SLDD will say, okay, what you need is a computer. A computer with no Microsoft Word and Google and spell check and all of that, but a computer. So they will have they will organize a room for you to have your exam in which you're writing on a specific computer designed with the software for this. And all we get in staff is that this student will be writing the exam at us. And that's it. They don't have to give us any explanation, any reason, anything. This student will be writing our exams at us. You'll collect their paper from exams when we're finished. And that's the end of it. And you have what you need to get through. They level the playing field.
I ask you did kind of touch on it before. I think it came out organically, what issues you think teachers have, but I will ask specifically so you can answer with that in mind now, what issues you think teachers have. And I'm eager to hear, because you've had a wide range of experience, I think, across all levels. So it would be really nice to hear what you have to say.
Yes. Okay. So we did speak on counseling and psychology services/support. I think that should be mandatory. I think teachers as all adults in society now, tend to be battling with a number of issues at the same time. So, for example, most teachers either have lost parents or are dealing with aging parents. And that is something I think is overlooked, and there's very little support given for that particular aspect of teachers' lives. And that's the sort of thing I would like people to start to mobilize around facilities, or whether it is people who come to visit your parents, or specific places where we feel safe we can put our parents from time to time or during the day or whatnot while we're out at work. In like manner are the children. So most people think, well, teachers are in school when children are in school. So it's sort of, but oftentimes we are in school a lot longer than that and at task a lot longer than that, because we're not designing the exams in the classroom. We're not marking the scripts in the classroom. We're not planning the lessons in the classroom. So we're often at work a lot outside of the classroom hours. And that does take away from our ability to have eyes on our children and ensure that our children are well supervised and well-rounded. So particular clubs, extracurricular activities, safe spaces, homework centers are things that I would encourage union members, teachers to advocate for. If there is literally an arrangement, even if it could probably be made in-house, where teachers take turns with a particular space allocated for seeing about their children, because we are taking care of the nation's children. I said we like I'm still in secondary school. But teachers are responsible for the nation's children. So the last thing that teachers should be worried about is their children. Yeah. So I think that's also a really important issue. Another thing I think teachers struggle with is location and transportation. And I'm not sure why teachers aren't placed closer to homes. There's a school just about everywhere now. Why aren't teachers placed in their communities? Where I know your mother, she lives 1.5 streets from me.
Yeah.
You know, where your grandmother taught me in school, where we go to the same church. There are different types of networks that can be developed that can help support the education system, because community is able to work a lot easier. And that way, when you call parents out, it's walking distance from where they live. It's right there, as opposed to it being so far away, at least for some parents, because we still have the whole issue of prestige schools. Right?
Yes.
But I think that the time that sitting, so for some people, 2 hours, 3 hours a day to and from work, that's people's lives you're eating. That's
Leaving
people's
in the dark,
lives.
coming home in the dark,
Yeah, that's people's lives you're eating out of. And if you want well-rounded teachers, happy teachers who function well, you give them as much of their life as you can. And there are these sorts of ideas that can be, to me, discussed, that can be worth a lot of money. You know what I mean? Okay. The amount of money you spend in gas, in maintenance, in travel, in tires and potholes and rims. That we can literally make our lives easier by making these sorts of changes. These are the kinds of things. I do believe that school supervisors need to be revisited and be given teeth. I do believe teachers need to have spot supervisor visits, where they are asked, where is your lesson plan for today? And they sit down and the school supervisor watches the teacher deliver. It doesn't matter how many years in the service you've been. and we make sure that they are up to date on what is the latest information, data, technology in the field, and that they are using all of the resources available to help students to succeed, and that there is a system in place. Teachers may be mad at me at this, but I'm okay. I have developed a bit of a back over the years. There should be a system in place where a supervisor comes to supervise a teacher, and the teacher is not functioning well, is not prepared, has no lesson plan, does not have good class control, etc. And the teacher gets a warning. And when that teacher is revisited, that warning is a deduction. And when that teacher is revisited, that is grounds for dismissal, because we have a number of people in the system who not only do they not care about their field. I know English teachers are responsible for English language and literature. I know English teachers who will tell me to my face they hate poetry. You're in the wrong job. You're in the wrong job. You cannot hate. Hate is the word. Poetry. And be responsible for teaching. Poetry. What poetry does to our soul. What poetry does to our mind. What poetry does to character. When analyzed and discussed well. You have that responsibility. That's part of molding that generation everybody wants to complain about. But you hate it. And that's just one example from my own experience within my own field. But there are teachers out there who really are less interested in what they're teaching than what fruit is in season. There are also those who are not very interested in the children. They are quite comfortable to say, this is not a safe space and I'm going to stay away and just not teach and just be absent and have extenuating absences for long periods of time. I think that the school supervisors need to be armed, and I would like to think the union would work with them to get the teachers who want to be in the system, who are yes, naturally inclined to care for children and to care for their subject area and who have that passion and that drive. But there also has to be a system to say, listen, okay, you probably need to take some workshops, to take some classes. You probably need a psychological break. You should probably take a month off because you have been burnt out all the way. But there needs to be a system to check on the teachers and say, okay, listen, I think you've got as far as you can go. You clearly can't do this anymore or at this point, and perhaps we should work something else out for you, or perhaps we should train you in a particular way, or perhaps we need to give you some more support so that the teachers are one, answering to somebody, and therefore their level of responsibility is amped up, and they have to think about, well, I might have a visit today. On any day, and they have to prepare accordingly and to stay on top of their skill sets, because education is not just your field. Education is class management, it's human interaction, it's problem solving, you know, and I think that there's a lot that needs to be done to help the teachers and to ensure that we have teachers in the classrooms. Not people with the piece of paper drawing the salary, teachers in the classrooms. And that would help a lot. Oh, and we need to have some kind of child psychology in our training. Whether you're going through teaching college or you're reading for a degree in whatever field with a specialty towards education, child psychology needs to be in there somewhere. We need to revise those programs.
You're in the rightest place for that.
I'm not a program developer.
Oh, but you're there in the university with the
yes,
of ed and all of that.
Yes, I am. And I have voiced this. Friends is not really the word. I think it's
colleagues. People of ed and all those LLE places.
I don't really.
The is there, which is a kind of seamless place where they can do that. But that's a very good point. You know, now especially, you know, where they're is not just organically the support, as you were talking with the parent in the community and the church in the community. Now everybody's far away from their safe space and network. So you do have a very good point in terms of maybe teachers picking up some of that to be able to help. But then, on the other side, people will say teachers do so much already. It's not one hat
Yeah.
that they wear their nurse
Yeah.
and
I'm not suggesting that teachers become counselors
right.
in any kind of way. We need the counselors. We need the counselors, we need the psychologists, we need the psychiatrists, the clinicals and whatnot. But I am suggesting that we have some sort of basic, one course, is all I'm asking for. Some sort of basic understanding, at least to know how to give immediate response, because you're the one they're coming to.
Yeah.
You're the one they're coming to.
I wonder what's your opinion. I heard you mention that you do get students at your level at university with the dysgraphia and with the dyslexia and these maybe other type of learning challenges and so forth. And I'm thinking that's a long time maybe to not be diagnosed. To no way to get this kind of service that what you're describing is an amazing service, but to me, that should be in primary school, those kind of services where you can tackle that so that the child is able to learn before they reach university, to university level. So what is your conversation when you encounter a student like that at your level in terms of picking up that, okay, you may have dysgraphia, you may have dyslexia and like that. What is the conversation like? Not just referring them to the services you said, but do you ever think, oh my gosh, this person all this time, all these years,
I'm going to expand that.
Yeah.
Because I'm working in literacies and because I see their writing and I hear their speech, I see quite a large number of students whose foundation English language is spotty. That is to say, I have students coming in who have the prerequisites for our courses, which means that they have some English language, whether it's English A or communication studies or whatnot. And we are talking subject-verb agreement issues. We're talking sentence construction issues. We're talking punctuation. We're talking capital letters. We're talking spelling. So the question is, what do we do when we realize students are in our room with issues that should have been caught a long time ago? And the first thing I usually do is apologize. I am not even joking. I apologize on behalf of our system, our education system and our support systems that you've come this far and we didn't catch it. I apologize. Said, you never know, it could be because you missed school the day they did that. You might have been sick, you might have had a problem home. I don't know. But the point is, somewhere along the line, someone should have noticed that there is a problem here and a fundamental problem that can affect your learning and your success. So that's the first thing I do. I explain to them that it's not their fault. It's nothing that's wrong with them. They have a difference in what they can do at this time, but we have a means to bridge that difference and to put them on even par with everyone else, and then I point them to where they need to be. So it is a process, and yes, I acknowledge that more needs to be done. That particular issue you're talking about with learning disabilities or challenges, we are talking about a whole officer. That's a person. That's something you could try to add to teachers' workload, but it's a lot. If there are extreme cases, people like me who work in my field at my level would think that's relatively obvious to pick up. You have a child that no matter how you try with them, the writing is illegible.
Right.
And they're trying very hard, and you can tell the student is trying, or the spelling is very problematic, even when you use different types of techniques, kinesthetic, visual, or you try all the different VAC learning style techniques, and you're still having the challenge. You realize there's a real problem here. We're talking about a person whose job it is to look out for these things, to be the go-to for teachers, to assess these students. And then that's another officer in every school. That's another officer in every school.
And schools have these people, across the world. There are things, reading specialists and literacy specialists, and these things, they are there, but again, an overwhelmed system.
Yes.
Overwhelmed system and retaining. My guest from last week was talking about, look, his qualifications, and he's an educational psychologist, but then what you're willing to give people for their skill is just, insulting. So that's what,
for their skills and qualifications.
Yeah, so therefore you're not getting the people you need to, kind of be in the place that they need to be.
Yeah, that's a
so I wanted to ask about, I just remember in my time when I entered university and was all eager to start my courses, degree and going in to do this and all of that. And then you found out you had to do these compulsory courses. And I'm like, what do I have to do these things for? That have nothing to do with my degree.
Yeah.
Is that still the case for some?
Oh, yes.
We
often spend the first 2 weeks, amongst other things, focusing on why you're here.
Right.
And why you need to be here, why it's compulsory, mandatory for you to be here and for you to succeed. I think the first thing we have to discard is the misunderstanding that they're in English class. It's an English course. No, it's not. We are not English teachers. We are academic literacies instructors, and this is an academic literacies course. So you are supposed to have English before you come here. We are not teaching you English.
Right.
Yeah, so once we get that out of the door, they go, okay, so what are we actually doing here? And when we show them how we teach you how to understand the question, structure and answer, conduct the appropriate research quickly and intelligently. You don't have to read 12,000 articles to find the ones you want and to find the quotations and the statistics and the data you need. How to actually draft your response, whether it's an essay, a research paper, a report, a thesis, etc. And then how to insert or include or interweave your research into that, how to complete your citations, proofread and edit, and submit something that, we feel good about this every time.
Right.
And if you're running 5 courses a semester, let's say 3 submissions per course, you're talking about 15 essays every 3 months. You need us. We are here to help you do this well and efficiently. As quickly as possible,
this is something else I have to do again.
Standard. Yes, it is. It is something else you have to do, but it makes everything else a lot easier.
Is it that they have to do it at the start, or can they do it
when we have students in year 3?
Right.
Which we do have for a variety of reasons. Some say that they were advised to wait until the end of their degree to complete it, thinking it was something easy. And then they realize they can't graduate because they can't pass the course. And they literally are trying just to pass one course that they should have done in semester 1, year 1.
Right.
So in all of our programs, our academic literacy is a course, and each one is designed for people in specific fields, depending on what their majors are, what they're studying. They're advised from us to read it as soon as possible. Right. So if it's not offered in semester 1, then in semester 2. If for any reason you have to write the ELPT, the English Language Proficiency Test, and you can't write it because you don't have the prerequisite, then as soon as it's available, whether it's in summer, whether it's the next academic year, write it as soon as possible, because it's going to help you write everything else. It's going to help you with your presentations for everything else. It's going to help you with your reading for everything else.
Yeah, that's why I asked earlier if they are aware of it, because I was trying to remember the term, but it's academic advising and you brought it up. So is it mentioned to them in academic advising that this is I mean,
We send out documents to academic
right.
advising across the
Yeah.
campus,
Yeah.
informing and guiding the advisors in the different faculties
Mm-hmm.
on what they should be advising their students regarding
Mm-hmm.
academic literacies courses. And every year we still meet someone who says
Third
that
year?
he or she was advised to wait. Every year. And I'm going, who? Please give us names so we can talk to somebody. Because when we talk to the advisors are saying, we told our students
Mm-hmm.
to write it first semester, first year.
Yeah. Because I
So yeah,
do, I have encountered students, and I mean, it's UE campus, so you must
yes,
see them somewhere. And I'll say,
yes,
"Oh, you're graduating," and they'll say, "No, I just have this course to finish in my
yes.
last what do you call it, semester." And I'm like, "Why are you not doing this in your last semester? Why?"
Okay, yeah, you are in my world.
Right. And
I literally
and
go,
it's
what are you
sometimes not
now
the
doing here?
humanities person per se. It's not the
Yes.
the history, language, literature person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what is going on there? And then on the
Yeah.
flip side of that, you were talking about in the ELLE degree, and I remember
Yes.
on campus and people say, why do I have to do academic writing or this English thing? And I'm going to
Yeah.
be doing an entire degree in English.
Yeah, because
Why do you need to know?
we're not
Why we're
teaching you
not
English.
right? Why am I not exempted from this thing? It's just
Yeah.
basically what, but based on what you're describing, and I think coming out of the system that they are coming from into
Yes.
university, it's sounding like some of the needs, in terms of what they need to come into university not being met. So therefore, you guys come in to kind of help with that. I think at maybe my time, you probably didn't see it as important.
Well, we live and we grow, right?
Right.
But even when you would have been there, when we had the different disciplines, that was
Mm-hmm.
a very large course that covered a number of
Yeah.
faculties,
Right.
etc.
Yeah.
The core concept was the same, which is we
Mm.
need to make sure that our students can manage the academic literacies required to excel at this level. So
Mm-hmm.
that hasn't changed. What we have done is we've noticed the gaps in English language mastery that we do not teach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we've tried to bridge those
To
gaps.
bridge the gaps.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, what's the most rewarding part for you about doing this job? I think even I didn't even have to ask because I was here. It's coming out. It came out in so many ways. But let me ask it explicitly. What's so rewarding about it? And you sound like you like your job, eh? And I know people always say
I
it's
love
weird
my
when people
job.
say that they're not everybody sounds like they like what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you
I love
sound
my
like that.
job.
Yeah.
I
What's
love my
rewarding
job.
about it for you?
Um, I think this is something any teacher can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
You see when the face goes, oh my God, their eyes get all large and you can hear them gasp, like, no, what? That can't be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. How do we not know this? I
Right.
don't know, and I'm sorry, but yeah, this is the truth, and this is how it works. And that moment
Yeah.
when learning occurs, and it's not a rote memorization.
Mm-hmm.
This person has learned something. A new synapse has been formed, and they're going to walk around with this for the rest of their lives. And you know
Mm-hmm.
that, and you know that it is impacting who they are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and who they will reach, and everybody there reaches, and all the people they're responsible for, and all the parents and their children. Little things sometimes,
Yeah.
and sometimes really huge ideas that come up in
Right.
our classes, and that moment of enlightenment.
And it must be
And
so much more rewarding to get it at that level. Like,
adults
seeing an
who
adult
you
learn,
know have
Yeah.
knowledge, have experience, they
Yes.
have an understanding of the world,
Yeah.
and they go, oh my God, I never understood
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that to me is one of the best things. The next thing, of course, is you're going wherever you're going, and you hear miss from somebody who looks like 50 years old. And everybody else is looking at you like, how could you
What?
be there, miss?
That's a Caribbean
Miss,
for you.
what's your course? Miss, you're a boss. Miss. That always warms your soul just a little bit. And be like, yeah, I'm proud of you. Use one of mine. Yeah, when they succeed.
That's
When
wonderful.
they succeed, that's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. And on that
And you meet
lovely
them.
high note, we end
Yeah.
this very much enlightening and engaging conversation here with Janique Dennis-Prescott. I want my listeners to know that you empower minds and you ignite curiosity. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Lana. It was a ball. Had a blast.